Hi, dear flyers. Welcome to tonight's class, Becoming an Eloquent Speaker, where I show you the exact things that you need to do in order to become more eloquent and fluent. Do not forget that this is the last of our EPM testers. EPM, English Pronunciation Mastery online course, is a course that helps you improve your communication skills. It helps you learn topics such as clear diction, fluent presentation, clear pronunciation, and lots more. We decided to put together tasters in order to help you know, oh, is this course right for me or not? And we started this since Tuesday. On Tuesday, we started the topic, what to fight as an aspiring impressive speaker. Wednesday, I taught you, how do you master diction and elocution? Thursday, how can you know how to pronounce over 90% of English words correctly? That's when we studied the pronunciation codes. Yesterday, no activity. It was for you to rest and revise everything that we already studied. And today is the final day. We want to study becoming an eloquent speaker. And here we are. Let's get started. I don't want to take your time. Who is the coach for today's class? My name is Abdulbaki Hassan, the lead tutor at Flying Colors Communications Academy, where we help people improve their communication skills, enhance their communicative competence, and increase their English proficiency level. I am a certified linguist, a communication coach, award-winning editor. I have over 7 years experience teaching phonetics, pronunciation, grammar, public speaking, fluent presentation. I have competently served over 7,000 people with my educative content, resourceful courses, and practical tips. Today is not about me, right? So we're not going to discuss a lot about me. We're just going to go into today's class. Last year, I took a course at the University College of London, and that was one of the reasons why we didn't release the EPM 2022, last year, plus the fact that we launched 2 subscription-based schools, online kiddie school and online adult school. Those activities actually prevented me from launching EPM 2022, because it's not just about launching, because we already know we have the audience, people that are interested in the course, but we feel it should not be about releasing the courses. It should be about, do we have the time to give them attention? Will they be able to get results? And here we are, EPM 2023. We are ready. Our participants are also ready. Now, why speaking? Why didn't I title this class Becoming an Active Listener or Becoming an Error-Free Writer? It's one of the tasters, but we didn't have it yesterday because I realized that a lot of people weren't following anymore. They had a lot to study already. Why didn't I title it Becoming an Active Listener? Why not an excellent writer? Why not any other thing aside from speaking? Because speaking is the topmost, the best, the most effective of all the communication skills. We have 4 basic communication skills: speaking, listening, writing, and listening. Listening, writing, speaking, and reading. Speaking is the best of all communication skills. And today we're going to learn how to describe our communication goals. We're also going to learn how to improve our speaking skills, frequently asked questions concerning speaking right. And I'll also share with you reliable resources that will enhance your speaking skills. These are the things that we are going to be doing today. As shared earlier, why improve your speaking skills? The way you speak is connected with your identity. It is the way you speak. From your speech, people rate you. People can tell, is this person a graduate or is this person an illiterate? Do you have an SSCE only, or you've got your master's degree? Even if you've got your master's degree and you speak like a person who hasn't been to a secondary school before, maybe you dropped out after your primary school education, people won't believe that you've got your master's degree. And if you speak eloquently, even when you're in secondary school, people will ask you, what's your topic for PhD? What's your PhD thesis about? Why? Because of the way you speak, because speaking helps to showcase your identity, the way you speak, the way you sound, the quality of your thoughts is usually expressed via speaking. And when the quality is low, we think you're of low identity. If it is high, we just feel that you're high. Secondly, speaking needs to be improved because of your global audience. So for example, you may be convenient with the way you speak with the people at home, for example. Let's say, for instance, they're not acquainted with diction, nothing to say, nothing to talk about, nothing to discuss most of the time, except the things that you discuss. But that day when you have to speak to a global audience, a mixed audience, you may feel, oh, what's wrong with me? I've actually been resting. I have been relaxing. It is when you see your global audience that you know, oh, I ought to improve my speaking skills. So you don't have to wait till you have the global audience. And when I say global audience, I do not necessarily mean TEDx. I do not mean a global platform. In today's world, just connecting to Facebook and recording a video is connecting to a global audience. A lot of people have access to your content, and you should not start improving your skills when you get started with those things. When you get there, you should improve your speaking skills now. Speaking is also the most efficient. Class captains, you're sleeping already, and we just started the class. Speaking skills, most important in calling people to action. When you call people to action via writing, they may not understand what you're saying, because when we write, there are lots of emotions that we're not able to exude inside our writing, no matter how well you can write. Even when you include all the adjectives, everything, you're able to paint the pictures, people still want to hear your voice. It is when you talk to them that they understand you adequately. So it is the most effective in calling people to action. Speaking also helps you exude confidence. Yes, whenever you see people say, why are you hiding behind your keyboard? Why not come out? Because you're not speaking. Everything is all about text. That's hiding behind your keyboard. They won't say the same to a person who speaks out. So speaking actually shows that you're there, that you're present, that you're capable, that you can do. And due to poor reading culture, a lot of people desire speaking rather than reading. They like speaking, they like to listen rather than reading, because there is a wide poor reading culture. And it's not about Nigerians alone, it's not about Africans, it's worldwide. People will prefer to watch a video than to read. They will prefer to watch a video instead of reading a book. Speaking also endears people to you. People get that familiarity when they listen to your voice. People feel as though they know you when they see you in videos talking. There is this connection that binds you when you speak to them, when they can connect with you. It looks more personal than writing. Okay, now, speaking is the most important of all communication skills. Ironically, it is the most neglected of all communication skills. That's ironical, because it is the most important of all communication skills. We feel it should be the most communication skills. It should be the communication skill that people will hold high, that everyone would want to learn, that institutions will want to imbibe in their content. But no, that's not the case. The reverse is the case. And if you can remember, while we were in secondary school, for example, for those of us here, many of us, I know many of us are graduates, for example, and at least undergraduate, most of us. When we were in secondary school, you remember that whenever we come to class, most of the time, what we do is to write and then listen to our teachers explain what we've written. That's the everyday thing. You come to the class, copy the notes, listen to your teacher. When do we speak? We don't really have the opportunity to speak. Okay, any question? Most of the time, no question, because you want the teacher to leave. But the schools actually have that plan for students to speak. Yes, you may say, oh, tutor in my school, we usually have debating competitions. Oh, tutor in my school, quiz competition every week. And in my school, they invite my school for international and inter-school debating, and people and students in the school speak. Yes, I am not arguing with you, but can I shock you? Will you give me the permission to shake the table further? Most of the times, the best students in class represent the whole class. Am I right? The class captain, the A student represents the whole class. Type in the chat box if you can relate. Yes, the best of all students represents your class. When it's time for inter-school debate, the school will choose the first position student, the second, the third, the best of all of you, the favorite. Am I right or not? Let us see in the chat box. Exactly. So you now know that despite the fact that speaking is the most important of all communication skills, it is still the most neglected. Now let's go to our universities. Yes, we usually have paper presentation, but I can tell you that most of you here that actually went to universities, most of you that are graduates, you will agree with me as well that most of the time that you get, most of the time you also follow the secondary school routine. You go to the class, you lecture theater, you copy the notes. If it is a dictation, you take the dictation and the lecturer explains. There is no program exactly specifically for you to practice your speaking skills. And if there are maybe 2-3 times in the whole year, not even a session, and all of you here can even count the number of times that you presented while you were at the university. Am I right? I want it to be relatable. I didn't ask you to turn on your mic because it's going to be noisy. We all have different backgrounds. Mine may be silent while yours may be rowdy. So I still want us to relate. Yes, we dodge, we can. There is nothing like, oh, Jennifer or Yelaku, sorry about that, come present. Hamida, come present. Adiketu Amasa, come present. So let's see. Despite the fact that it is the most important of all communication skills, it is that communication skills that is tied. It is that exact communication skill that is tied to our lives. We do it every day. You have to speak every day. You can still escape writing. You need to talk to others. In the workplace, you need to grow the way you respond, the way you talk. A lot of people have no idea. Now, again, speaking enhances your credibility than writing. For example, we have content creation online, right? You need to create content. For those of you who are conversant with online business, you have to create content, multiple content, in order to create a familiarity between you and your audience. You need to create that chord by giving them something to consume, and they comment, they engage with you. Speaking enhances credibility even online than writing. Let's take the example of the content that we have. We have written content like Facebook post, we have video content, we have audio content. People prefer to listen to audios and even watch your videos instead of reading your writing. They feel that familiarity the more. So writing cannot adequately pass pieces of information like speaking. And this is the reason why people prefer voice notes. Let me tell you, let me give you another instance that all of you will relate with. Remember, you once have this disagreement with your friend and you feel, oh, my friend, you didn't understand what I typed. And that is the major reason why you're angry. And then one of you, due to the misunderstanding, one of you decided to record a voice note in order to explain what actually happened. Like, oh, my friend, you recorded a voice note explaining to your friend what your friend misunderstood with regard to what you wrote or typed. How many of you have witnessed this before? A disagreement online between you and your friend, maybe on WhatsApp or Messenger or in the comment section, and then you sent a voice note to your friend or you called your friend in order to explain that thing further. How many of you relate with this? Yes. True, it's easier to comprehend speech than writing. Sometimes they get, exactly. But when I speak, you know if I'm joking, you are mad. If I text that to you, oh, why are you telling me I'm, but if I send a voice, you are mad. You are mad. You are not serious. You get it better. So that already tells you that writing cannot adequately pass pieces of important information. This happened just this evening with a friend of mine. Oh, wow, that's amazing. So you can see I already studied all these things. This is the hard good. I don't want to take your time, so let's just move further. We're already on the same page. Yes, people say, oh, tutor, haven't you heard the saying, the Chinese saying, oh, picture is worth more than 1,000 words. Yes, that is true. But remember, most of the time when you want to explain the picture, what do you use to explain? The speech. Speech is needed in the explanation of those 1,000 words. Okay, let's move on. Now, when people describe their speaking goals, they usually make mistakes. And that's the major reason why I always tell myself, whenever I have sessions with people, even if this is the only thing that they're going to learn, it's worth it for them to be able to describe their speaking and communication goals. So we have public speaking, diction, elocution, phonetics, phonology, accent reduction, transcription, voice training. All these terms are different from one another. Public speaking is different from diction. Diction is not elocution. Elocution is not phonics. That's the funniest. People come to me and say, I want to learn phonics. You don't learn phonics if you can already read. Phonics is a literacy program. Phonetics is different from phonology. Phonology, so phonetics is not a style of speaking. You know, people say, he's speaking phone. You can't speak phone. Phonetics is not a style of speaking. It is a science. It's a science that you study. You only study phonetics. It is possible for you to study phonetics and still not be able to speak correctly. We'll get there. Accent reduction, transcription, voice training. Now let's discuss each of these terms. First is diction. Diction refers to the manner in which someone pronounces words. It can also refer to a writer's style. So for example, if I describe you as speaking with poor diction, it means that you do not pronounce your words correctly. And if I say, oh, Wole Soyinka usually uses complex diction in his pieces of writing, it means that the writing style of Wole Soyinka is complex, difficult words. You read one sentence and go to your dictionary. How many of you have read any publication by Wole Soyinka? It happened to someone close to me this evening. She almost lost her job. Wow, Ma'am Sophia, we need to continue this on WhatsApp. You need to tell me the full story. Which one is harder to learn? With regard to the communication skills, with being asked to learn, it's usually connected to you as a person, your origin, your childhood. So for example, for me, I think speaking is the most difficult, not because it's most difficult for other people, but because I actually grew to be a shy person. I had to learn confidence. Where do I present? How do I do this? I had to go learn them. For reading, I never even knew how I got to read because I was already reading fluently from primary 3, primary 4. Listening to people, we already It's already, most of us already learned all those. Listening, writing, really good at writing right from the beginning. In fact, I published my first book when I was in SS1. I was 14 years old when I published my first book. But for speaking, I had to go learn training sessions, public speaking, diction, elocution, presentation, video presentation mastery, another thing on its own. So I had to go learn. So with regard to which is harder to learn, it's going to deal with you. I've met people who actually find it's really easy to speak, but they can't read. So it usually deals with your childhood. There is no one that is harder than the other. Some people find it easy to read, others find it easy to speak already, others can communicate already. They did not go through the learning. So let's go back to our diction or a writer's style. So which of Wale Soyinka's publications have you studied before? Type in the chat box if you have. Elocution. Now, we already established that with regard to speaking, diction refers to the manner in which someone pronounces their words. If you speak with clear diction, it means your words are clear, your pronunciation is also clear. Elocution is the ability to speak clearly and correctly, especially in public, and pronouncing the words in a way that is socially acceptable. So for example, your mother is coming is not considered to be socially acceptable, but your mother is coming is considered to be. So elocution is a combination of public speaking and pronunciation. Clear diction is about pronunciation. Elocution is about public speaking and pronunciation. Phonetics is the study now of how sounds are produced, where they are produced in the vocal tract and the speech organs used in their production. Let's take, for example, we have this sound. Okay, I already wrote one sound there, but let's take another. This is what we do in phonetics. For example, this sound is pronounced, and we describe the sound as being voiceless, fricative, we describe the sound as being voiceless because it is not voiced. There is no feeling or vibration when you pronounce the sound. So it is voiceless. Then we describe it as labiodental. That is the speech organs required in the pronunciation of the sound. The speech organs are labiodental. What are labiodental sounds? Labiodental sounds are sounds that you pronounce with the coming together of your lower lip, labial, and your upper teeth, dental, labial, dental. Then we have fricative. Fricative sounds are pronounced and they come out just in form of friction, just as in the word 5, 50. So give me other words. The lion and the joy, awesome. So give me other words. Give me other words. Who's asking the question? Please just note your questions. You ask all the questions after the session. Give me words that have the sound. So I already gave you one, 5. Fair, good. Yeah, physics, awesome. Fresh. So you can see Ma'am Hamida's example shows that it's possible for you that sounds are different from letters. So for example, this same is what you have in graph. It's what you have in 5. So you can represent that sound with it's what you have in off. It's not what you pronounce in of. So what you pronounce in of, OF, is V, not F, of. But switch off, that's where you pronounce F. Okay, now we all understand phonetics. Phonetics works on the basis of the fact that no two sounds are the same, no matter how similar they sound to your hearing. Another word, for example, we have ba. Ba is voiced, bilabial, plosive. It is voiced because when you pronounce it, you feel a buzzing sound in your throat. Ba, ba, ba. And it's also bilabial. That is, so the two lips have to touch in the pronunciation of the sound. It's plosive as well because it comes forth in form of explosion. B, 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 right? Now, there is another sound that sounds exactly like b, and that sound is ba. But it is still not the same because when you describe this, this is going to be described as a voiceless consonant. Consonant, bilabial, plosive. So this is what phonetics wants us to learn, the fact that no two sounds are the same. So now, can you see it is not possible for someone to speak Fune? Let's talk in the chat box. Tries of Brother Jero. Awesome, Ma'am Abiola. Yes, that's a play. Let's talk in the chat box. Can you all now see that it is not practical or feasible for anyone to speak Fune? You can't be speaking bilabial, plosive, fricative. What they actually mean is that the person is speaking with clear diction. Can you relate with this? Let's talk in the chat box. And as you do that, let's move on. The next is phonology. Phonology is the study of speech production as a whole, using the information derived from phonetics. So phonetics brings forth the information, while phonology takes the information and use that information to bring forth processes. Because when we speak, we do not say ba, fa, si, e in isolation. We do not take all the data that we get from phonetics and pronounce them in isolation one by one. No, we need to bring forth the sounds together. And we have a lot of phonological processes, not only in English, but in all languages, because when sounds come together, a lot of things happen. We have insertion, we have deletion, we have merging, a lot of phonological processes. So for example, when you pronounce this word, this sentence, this question, you say, how are you? That's the way you ought to pronounce the sentence, the question, how are you? But people do not talk that way. We're not robots. What we say is, how are you? How are you? So in that process, a lot of sounds, you have sounds deleted, you have others merged, you have things coming together. So we do not pronounce our sounds in isolation. Ha, ooh, ah, you know, we say, how are you? Where are you going? What is it? What is it? And when we do so, a lot of processes happen. Those processes are called phonological processes. Let's move on. The next is transcription. Transcription refers to representing words with sounds. We have, when we talk about sounds, we're not talking about letters. Letters are 26, sounds are 44 in British English, for example. So transcription is you representing those words with the sounds and not letters. So let's say, for instance, you want to spell this word, knife. K-N-I-F-E, but that is not what you pronounce. This is what you pronounce. And this is a transcription, knife. So the spelling, the transcription. Are we still together? I want to give you a task. Let me know if we're still together. Are we together? Class captains, you're sleeping. You're not dedicated. Oh, let's move on. Phonics, the next is phonics. I wanted to give you a task there, but it seems phonics. Phonics is the method of teaching literacy based on the sounds that letters represent. Phonics is not a style of speaking, so you can't learn phonics because you want to be fluent. You can only learn phonics if you want to learn how to read. If you already know how to read words, you do not need phonics, okay? So in phonics, you learn the letter sounds. Instead of you to learn A, B, C, D, E, F, you're going to learn the sounds, the letter sounds instead, because it is difficult for you to teach a child A for knife. For example, it's going to be difficult for the child to be able to process this. K for knife, how is K related to knife? Because the K there is silent. So you need to get started with letter sounds in order to make the child understand before you move to silent letters, blending, storytelling, songs, and so on and so forth. Accent reduction is the next term. Accent reduction aims to reduce a strong or broad accent that may affect speech in other languages. So when someone has accent issues, like a broad accent, the person finds it difficult to speak in other languages fluently because the features in the existing language will affect what they have in the language they want to speak. Let's say, for example, a person that is Yoruba and the person has broad accent. It may be difficult for people to comprehend, especially people that are not Yorubas, to comprehend what the person is trying to say. Are you swore? Are you swore? Is soak? Things like that. People will, is it the same as choke that you're trying to say? Is it the choke as in CHO that you say is soak? Are you swore? Is it, do you mean sure? What do you mean exactly? What are you saying? So if it's Venus, it's a fairness. If it is Zenith Bank, Senate Bank, do you mean SENATE or ZENITH? What do you mean exactly? So when it comes to the level with which you find it's difficult to speak, or when you speak, people start laughing, you want them to take action concerning something, or you say talking about something serious, and everyone is laughing because of your accent, you may need to consider going for an accent reduction course. Then we have voice training. Voice training is voice development for professional purposes. Let's say, for example, you want to become a voiceover artist or a voiceover actor. There is a specific way with which you need to speak. You need to change modes. When you want to cry, when you want to speak, when you want to, sometimes, for example, if you work as a voiceover actor, you may need to change your voice to that of an old man. You may need to change to that of a woman. You may need to talk, you may need to act 4 different characters in a particular script. What do you have to do in order to get to that level? Training, voice training. You need to train your voice to be able to do all those things. So now we've mentioned all the terms that people mostly use to communicate and talk about their goals, communication and speaking goals. Which of them do you think you need to learn? Let me know in the chat box. Which of these terms, transcription, voice training, accent reduction, phonology, phonetics, which of them would you like to learn? Okay, elocution, Ma'am Gania. Elocution, public speaking plus correct pronunciation. All of the above. Do you want to become a teacher? Mind your speech. Do you want to become a teacher? Because phonics is there. Accent production, that's accent reduction. There is also a difference between accent reduction and accent reduction and accent deletion. It is not about saying goodbye to your accent. It's about reducing your accent. It's not about saying goodbye to your whole accent, because accent is natural. If you're a Nigerian and you grew up in Nigeria, you would speak like a Nigerian. For example, Tutor is currently speaking in the Nigerian accent, but the purpose of communication is not for you to talk like a Briton or like an American. It is to communicate with people and let them understand you. And there is also the impressing factor. You need to impress the people you're speaking to. First, they should understand you. Second, they should be impressed when they listen to you. So there are lots of, because that impression, some people are not even The offer may not be right, but because of the way you communicated it, people will be interested. That's the impression aspect of it. So communication in a way that people understand is the major goal, not twisting your accent or speaking through your nails. Okay. We also have voice training. All right, I already explained this. We're asking one another communication and voice training. For those of you saying all of the above, you want to teach? Because I can see Phoenix there as well. You want to teach? Can't you read already? So if you're still saying all of the above, you don't want to teach, you don't want to teach reading, it means you still need to go back to this and understand what we are saying. Now, if you want to change yourself, I tell people this, you need to talk to yourself. And if you want to change the world, you need to talk to people. So these are pictures of world changers. Nelson Mandela, Benjamin Franklin, Barack Obama. We have even our prophets, our religion, prophets Muhammad, prophets Isa, Jesus. They're all speakers. You see verses of the Bible, Musa, Moses, verses of the Bible, verses of the Quran and the Bible saying that they were speaking to people, sermons, preachings, because they have the information inside them. And if they do not tell others, if they do not preach the sermon, if they do not talk to others about the message, others won't know what it is all about. They won't profess the religion. They won't profess the deen. And that is why it is significant and essential that you know how to communicate your values. If you want to change the world, you talk to people. If you want to change yourself, you talk to yourself. Let's move on. Essentials of public speaking. What are those things, the ingredients that must be present in your public speeches? First, nonverbal cues. Second, voice. Third, your content. Your nonverbal cues refer to all those things that you have inside your speech that you do not say. The nonverbal cues do not come from your mouth. The way you move your hands, the way you walk, your movement, the way you sit, your facial expressions, everything is under your nonverbal cues. Everything with regard to your speaking minus what you say. So it's not even about your speech. Funnily enough, it contributes almost 90% to your whole speech. It's not even about your content now, but your composure, the way your gravitas, your power, your intensity, your certainty, everything will be exuded via your nonverbal cues. So for example, if you come to me and say, I am confident, oh, you're not confident. You're not speaking clearly. You're shaking in front of people. So you're not confident. It's not about what you say, but people can already read into you when they see you. So when you say, oh, I am happy, and your facial expression shows that you're sad, people would feel, oh, are you insane? What are you saying? Because there is a way happy people look. So these tell you that you cannot, yes, gesticulation, Hamida, you got that right. So people can tell you what you are thinking by the way you look. Oh, what's wrong with you today? And nothing is, no, something is definitely wrong with you. How do they know? Your nonverbal cues. Second is your voice. This is not even your content. This is not what you're talking about, but your voice. Yeah, you say, so today we are going to learn a very important thing, but your voice is not showing that what you want to teach is important. People will take it as important. So that is monotony, your voicing, your speed, everything is fixed. While you're speaking, your voice needs to go up. It needs to come down as well, depending on what you're talking about at a specific time. Depending on what you're telling your audience about at that specific time. When you're talking to them about something sad, you may need to bring forth your voice. And that was what happened. That was what happened. And 1995, I can't forget that year. It was the year my mother died. Oh, 1992, my father slumped. So your voice will calm down. But when you start talking about things that they find interesting, you need to bring in more energy. When you start talking about your products and services and you want them to be amped and excited, the excitement needs to come from you first. You can't be giving us ambience, but it's the energy that you give that you receive. Your voicing, it doesn't have to be, it must not be static. It must, that way people will sleep. You just, why are you sleeping? You these people, it will make them sleep further. So, or they do other things aside from listening to you. Who is that in the chat box? Would that be intonation? No, intonation is one of the things that you need to do in order to amplify your voice, but there are lots of things to voicing. We have vocal projection, we have intonation, we have activeness, we have presence. The way you exert your presence and the way you use your non-verbal cues also affect your voicing. So for example, if you have your hands by your side and your head, some people are talking and their head is already sideways because of the way they're talking, the other side. Automatically, your voice cannot be charged. But when you move your hands, it's not possible for you to find the person moving their hands, walking energetically, showing charisma on stage and still talking, because while they're walking, moving their hands, using their nonverbal cues, their voice will be affected positively. So there are lots of things under voicing aside from intonation. We also have content. Intonation is usually with regard to context. If you're asking a question, your voicing should show that you're asking a question. Where are you? No, where are you? Where did you go? When you're surprised, your voice should show the same. When you're asking a question, but you do not want an answer, there is a way you should say it. You slapped my wife. It's not for you to confirm. It is for you to, Shege is going to happen to you today. That's it. So the person, no, we're not asking you to answer the question. I mean, I want to deal with you. So that's just like a taster. Just as we have the EPM tasters, sometimes you also have the IYA, punishment tasters, okay? So that is it. You get it? Ma'am, Asia, you're already laughing. Yes, that is it. So your voicing will change depending on what you're talking about. So that is the intonation, depending like the purpose. Surprise, are you surprised? Is it a sentence? Sometimes you're asking someone a question and you already confirm. Sometimes it is a sentence, but the way you ask already shows that person that you're asking a question. You went there is a sentence. You went there. You're asking a question, you want the person to confirm. You went there due to the change in intonation. So when we're talking about voicing, it's a lot of things brought together, not just intonation. I hope that helps, Ma'am Hamida. No, not rhetoric. We're still going to come to rhetoric. Just calm down. Voicing, just know that voicing is a lot of things brought together. Intonation, rhetoric, energy, charisma, presence, non-verbal cues, and so on. Third is your content. So this is the only thing people usually prepare for whenever they have presentation and public speeches. Oh, what will I say? How will I write it? What will I write in the first paragraph? But this actually comes third. This should be the list of what you should be worried about. You should be worried about, oh, how do I present this content of mine? What kind of voicing do I use here? This sentence, these other sentence. How do I, sometimes, some people narrate a funny story, but because of the way they narrate the story, after you tell the story, you're expecting others to laugh, but they're looking at, should we start flying? Like, why did you pause? You just laugh at her. What is wrong? Why are you laughing? Not because the story isn't funny, but because of the way you arrange. The boy now come. Hey, what happened there? Oh, let me try to. You going off and on. We already bought before you got to the place where you want us to laugh. So when you actually get there, we can't piece the story together anymore. So we won't laugh. So there are lots of things with regard. So don't just be about, hey, what will I write? So what will I present? What? No, it should be more about how do I present it? So your content is also important, and we will discuss that as well. Okay, now These are the things that you need to say goodbye to when we are discussing public speaking. You should not be scared of making mistakes if you're starting out, because even the experts, they make mistakes. So you shouldn't be scared of making mistakes. Just know, I will make mistakes and I will grow as I make the mistakes. You note those mistakes and you start working on them. Second, using the right words. Using the right words. And when we talk about vocabulary development, some people are more about, oh, let me go and find, instead of me to say big, I should say gigantic, I should say sizable. That all of them should just run away first. All of them should go start looking for their dictionary app. No, that is not communication. When they start looking for their dictionary before they're able to process your information, you've created a gap in the communication line. So using the right words does not necessarily mean using big words, just the right words that touch the heart of your audience as you make your presentation and deliver your speeches. Third, another thing that will, okay, I understand voicing very much now. All right, Ma'am Hamida, big blah to blow minds. No, that should not be the focus. So monotony. Monotony is when you maintain the same pitch and sound, volume throughout your speech. So when we now get there, today we are going to discuss a variety of things. First of all, we know those people. I don't want to, we know them. No, don't side. We know them. When we see them, we know we're going to be bored, not because we're not interested in the topic. You get to some teachers' classes or some lecturers' class and everyone is sleeping because we can't control. We do not expect you to talk that way. And one of the reasons why people do this is because they usually see public speaking as a big thing. Like you have to be serious, it has to be formal, it has to be, there is a way you need to know. Public speaking and presentation delivery, they're just like advanced dialogues. It's just you talking to your friend, but in an advanced form. The people that are there are your friends and family, your listeners. They may not know. You need to see them as such because you're passing value to them and you want them to get that value. You connect with them, you face them, you talk to them, you feel free. Now, some people, your preparation is more than what you want to present. So when you get there, you already anticipate the fact that you will fail. So at last you will fail. No amount of subhanallah, walhamdulillah, you will. So you have to say goodbye to monotony by telling yourself, which kind of voicing do I use? Someone I met in the teaching group messaged me with big grammar. I just ignored her. Mom Sophia, go take your dictionary. That's your cross to bear. Okay, we have stage fright as well, and this is the top of all problems that people usually battle with when it comes to public speaking. I also dealt with that before I said goodbye, and I will be sharing some of the things that I did in order to combat my stage fright. So when you have stage fright, this is one of the major things why you need to work on your stage fright if you're battling with it. Everything with regard to you won't be able to use your hands. Once you're fearing and once you're shaking, you can't say you want to use non-verbal cues. Once you are shaking, you can't say you want to go up, go down, when you just want to vomit everything and get out of the stage. You won't be able to use your voice appropriately. If you have issues with stage fright, you will forget your content, even if you have the content right in front of you. I tell my stories at all times that I once went for a presentation. I wrote the presentation, really brilliant paper, that we got the second position, not because of the presentation, but because of the paper. We got everything ready. But when it was time for presentation, in fact, one of the judges asked me, so what is the meaning of what you have done? Now you just wasted that, because I was just rushing and racing. Right? So you need to work on your stage fright because it will affect all the essentials of your public speaking. Non-verbal cues, voice, your content. You forget everything. You forget all the theories that you've learned with regard to public speaking when you have stage fright. So why do people fear? The major reason why people fear when they're in front of their audience is because of their limiting thoughts and mindsets. Limiting thoughts and mindset. Limiting, there is nothing difficult here. Limiting when you restrict yourself, when your thoughts restrict you, the way what you think about when they restrict you, and your mindset, the way your mind processes things. So I tell people that the kind of conversation mindsets actually affects us based on the kind of conversations we have and the things that go on around us. So I tell people, for example, the kind of mindset a poor person has is different from that of the rich person. So I always tell them, for example, if two of you, a poor person and a rich person, if they see a building, a gigantic edifice, for example, if they both see that building, while the rich man is thinking, oh, how many blocks went into the building of this construction? What is the rock like? Who are the architect? How can I make this house mine? The rich person will say, I can bet it's my money. If you go up there and you come down, you will die. You will die. There is nothing you can tell me. You will die. His mind can never process, oh, how can I make this mine as well? So how can this house become mine? Just be thinking, oh, if I throw this stone and it's made the glass will not break. You know, how can I destroy it? I can throw this stone and run away. Those are the things that will be going on in the mind of the poor person with the fixed mindset. So the same thing is what we have in public speaking, limiting thought. And when people say, no, mine is not about mindset, I tell them, wait, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this question as well. If you have 4 wives, for example, and each wife has 10 to 20 children, and all those children, your children, they gave birth to 10, 20 children as well. So you have a lot of people in your family, 300 or 400, and you're now the grandpa. You now say, oh, one day you were in the family meeting and you were asked to address the family. Would you have stage fright? Talk in the chat box. Would you fear? Let me know in the chat box. I'm waiting. I want this to be as practical as possible. Okay. No, not at all. No, no, exactly. So this goes back to the fact that it's your mindset and thoughts that actually make you fear. So what do? Try seeing the audience as your friends and family. Do not see them as people who want you to fail. You're in front of your audience, will I do it well? Just see them as your families and friends, even if they are strangers. Secondly, focus on your message and do not anticipate negativity. Make sure the content you're about to deliver, make sure it is top notch, and now focus on how am I going to bring forth this value? How am I going to transfer this value to my audience? That should be your focus, not what am I wearing? You're already right in front of the, is my shoe, that person that is laughing, is it laughing at me? Or the person that is moving out, don't worry, just focus on that value and do not anticipate negativity, because a lot of things would be happening during your presentation. Third, do not be scared of making mistakes, because mistakes are normal. Mistakes make us human. Some people don't even want to get started. Hey, people will laugh at me. I would make, yes, it is normal. So most of the time people see my videos. Oh, I want you to teach me video content creation, video presentation mastery. But it didn't start that way. If you go to my page and search for the videos I created in 2020, you start, is it still the same? I didn't delete them. You start laughing. Is it the same tutor? So hello. Sometimes I even ask, is this me? So, and now I'm really, really perfect at it. How did I become perfect? How did I become so good at creating videos? Because I know, oh, I will make mistakes. And as I make those mistakes, I'll get corrections and correct myself as I make the videos. So do not be scared of making mistakes. No one is an island. No one is 100%. Everyone makes mistakes. Even when someone records videos today, someone will still say, oh, you can still do it better. So that means it's a mistake on the other person's mind. So do not be scared. Do not be terrified of make them. It's normal. That's why you're a human being. You're not God. It is God that is perfect. So don't be scared of making mistakes. Fourth, frequent practice by taking action. It's not just about leaving this class and say you get value. Thank you very much for everything you've done. You still need to practice frequently, every day practice. You need to put in place systems that will help you practice. I tell people, write to schools. Schools are looking for people who are going to motivate and encourage their students. Or tell them, I studied accounting, for example, and I want to teach your students this morning assembly. Give me Tuesday mornings, I will come to the assembly to teach them. Or if you have any program like social activities, I will come there to teach them for free. You start practicing from there. When you go to events, you can tell them, I want to present before the main speakers come. I have an idea. When you go to your meetings, do not be scared. Even when someone says something that I have in mind, I still say mine, because you can't say the exact way. That's how you practice. You raise your hands, you express your feelings. That's where you start. But when you're looking for the big stage, you get the invitation. No, your preparation should not start when you're on the stage. That stage is there for you to start presenting and giving value. It is not for you to practice. So before you get to the global stage, you should start practicing now. Frequent practice, everyday practice. Ask people to watch it. If it's for video presentation mastery, start recording videos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Send it to people that are already good at it. Tell them to give you tips on how to do better in subsequent videos. Do that for 30 days and come back. You'll be the one. So you don't, if you keep going to classes, and you're not practicing frequently, you still see there is a loophole that you need to fill. There is always something that you need to fill. So if you do not practice, you'll be behind at all times. So try practicing. How do you use the right words? You use the right words by improving your vocabulary. Yeah. And when I talk about improving your vocabulary, it does not compulsorily mean that you need to go to your dictionary, A, B, and start studying from the beginning. That may weigh you down. What do you need to do instead? You need to ask yourself, what do I have issues with regard to vocabulary development? Is it that whenever I talk, I start searching for words? Is it that I only use normal words? I can't use synonyms. You need to ask yourself those questions, like what problems do you have? So for example, some people only have problems with regard to using synonyms. You know, when you present it sometime, you want to say, and the girl is beautiful. That girl is voluptuous. That girl is pretty. The girl is sexy. You want to keep using different words so as for your audience to be able to paint different pictures, the exact pictures that you want them to paint. But if you don't have any vocabulary and the girl is beautiful, the girl is borrow me this word. Borrow me. So if that is your problem, for example, you consider learning synonyms by using thesauruses. Thesauruses are different from dictionaries. When you check your dictionaries, you check beautiful, for example, you may have a person that is attractive. Then you have nouns, you have pronunciation, you have the parts of speech and other details that you may not need. But for thesauruses, you have the synonyms, like other words that you can use in place of beautiful. When you search for beautiful, you see words like pretty, sexy, voluptuous, attractive, like the exact word. So if you have problems with word searching issue, like you always search for, you may consider buying a thesaurus instead of a dictionary. You also read, if it is that you just want to have enough vocabulary, try reading speeches of others, amazing speeches, listening to them. Go download a TEDx on YouTube, subscribe. Once a new video drops, watch the video, because TEDx is a platform where they invite amazing people to come speak about an idea they feel will change the world. And each video, at least 8 minutes, at most 15 minutes. So you can just sit down while you're on a bus. You can decide to watch the videos and get value. You can also read newspaper articles, because most of those article writers, they're really, really good at what they do. They are trained writers. They won't make mistakes because they're paid not to make mistakes. They will use the right words because they're trained to use the right words and also paid to do so. So they use the right words. You can read one paragraph, you understand what they're trying to say, but you're not able to pinpoint some words. Note those words. When you're reading books and you find a word, note those words. When you come across a Facebook post and there is a word that, for example, earlier this year, I came across a post by a grammarian, And he wrote, may this new year bring joy and amity. Before then, I never came across the word amity. This is the word amity. And before then, if you had written amity for me and told me to guess the meaning, I would have guessed being enemies, because it sounds just like enmity, E-N-M-I-T-Y and A-M-I-T-Y. But in that context, I already knew, oh, amity, because he was praying. It was the January New Year, and it was amidst prayers. He already typed a lot of things with regard to the new year. Then he ended with, may this new year bring amity and joy. So I got, oh, it's going to be, then when I checked it's going to have a positive meaning. When I checked the meaning, it means a friendship, just like the direct opposite of enmity. So you can get new words from different sources. You also use the right words by learning figurative expressions, expressions that do not actually mean what they have on the surface. You use them. Now let's discuss monotony. Monotony is when a speaker maintains the same pitch and sounds boring. Like I already gave you examples. So how can you say goodbye to monotony? You use the appropriate voice and speed that are suitable for each feeling. You ask yourself, what am I talking about? Should I sound excited? Should I sound amped? What should I do here? You need to have practiced that before your presentation. You use the voice that is appropriate, the speed that is appropriate. Be dramatic. Sometimes you need to entertain your audience by performing drama. Are we still together? Type in the chat box, by performing drama. Let's say, for instance, you're talking and during your speech, you have to quote someone. Try to talk the same way that person would have talked. Let's say you want to talk, I always use the example of market women. You're telling a story of a market woman, for example, and you're speaking with clear diction in front of your audience. When it comes to the market woman, you won't say, so the market woman asked me, how are you? No, because market women do not speak that way. You need to go back and act like that market woman. Like, oh, my son, how are you? How is work today? And if it is a rude, no, not all not all market women are nice. Some women will, hey, what do you want buy? That's the way they talk. You also show emphasis through emphatic stress. So that was what Ma'am Hamida was asking about the other time. So what is an emphatic stress? Emphatic stress is you stressing the exact word you want your audience to pay attention to. My father bought a car. So if you're emphasizing that is you want to say, this is my father that actually bought the car, not another person's father, not his father, not just my own father. Say, my father bought a car. You stress, you emphasize the word my. If it is father, you say, my father, that is not your mother or your brother, bought the car. If it is the word bought, you say, my father bought a car. It means my father did not steal the car, did not sell the car. My father actually purchased the car. If you say, my father bought a car, it means my father did not buy a bicycle, not an Okada, real car. So depending on the context, you stress and emphasize the exact word you want to call your audience's attention to. Fourth, use your nonverbal cues, because when you raise your hands, you smile, you change your facial expression, you walk, you exude charisma, gravitas. Once you do all those things, your speech will be positively affected. You're using your hands, you're using the legs. No, your voice won't be, my father bought a car. You're actually going to sound fluent, interesting, excited, and people will high. So it's the energy that you give your audience that they give back to you. Okay, now nonverbal cues make the 90% of our speech. They pass more effect than the speech itself. The maintaining eyeball contact exudes confidence. That's one of the things you need to do. You need to look into the eyes of your audience. Using your hands shows connection and involvement. Okay, so there are lots of misconceptions that people, are we still together? I can't see anything in the chat box. Yes, please. Okay, all right, all right, all right. Zoom actually hid the messages the other time. Change, some people, okay, that was why I thought you were bored. So, okay, let's go back. Okay, now, how do you enhance your words and voice? English as a primary case study. Why are we using English in this class? Because English is almost becoming the words universal language, and it is the language of the internet, the language of finance, the language of civilization, the language of politics. Yeah, some people would say, oh, Mandarin Chinese is speaking than a lot of people, most of the most population of people. You don't read statistics. I thought, wait, the reason why Mandarin Chinese is widely spoken is because Chinese, the population is more than others' population, and that's why they have the most population speaking Mandarin Chinese. Yet, despite the fact that Mandarin Chinese is spoken by more people, more Chinese are learning English than English speakers are learning Chinese. So over 20 universities in China have English as the medium of instruction, and that tells you English is already taking over. So once we talk about clear pronunciation, people usually have misconceptions. So when we talk about clear pronunciation, we're not talking about changing your accent to an American or British accent, because accent is natural and original. It cannot be eliminated. I can't wake up tomorrow and start speaking like an American. And that is not the goal of communication. You can, with your Nigerian accent, you only need to, when we're talking about pronouncing your words clearly, you only need to be able to pronounce the sounds, the words clearly, and be able to use them clearly. That is the goal of accent reduction and correct pronunciation. It is not, so you hear some Nigerians and you're like, calm down. Last year, I was sourcing for teachers who are going to teach in my academy, and I called someone, he applied and he didn't submit all the required documents. So I wanted to call him to make inquiries. I was, oh no, so I told, please, wait, calm down, brother, calm down. You know, I work with Americans. I work with native speakers of English. I'm a member of the English Connect British Council. So we converse. This is not the way they talk. They do not speak this way. You need to calm down. And why is that happening to him? Why wasn't I able to understand him, despite the fact that I consume a lot of English content? If I watch a movie, I don't watch movies. If I watch a movie, it's because I want to, they're native speakers of English, and I'm going to learn a lot with regard to pronunciation. I also have direct access to native speakers of English. I talk to them, we converse. So why did I understand them, but wasn't able to understand my interested teacher? Because it is not original, it is fake. It is, oh, I just want to, that's one. So it's just as though you're singing. You have to speak. So clear pronunciation is not about changing your natural voice, because your voice is natural. When you want to change your natural voice and you start speaking, in 10 minutes, you're going to go back to your base, your foundation. It's going to be temporal. So speaking right and speaking clearly, clear pronunciation should not be difficult. It should be, communication should be effortless. You should want to do it, and it should feel relaxing. It should not be as though you're working. Life is already hard. So using big words that people do not understand is not also clear diction. And imitating an influential speaker is not also the goal of speaking right. So you may have people like established amazing speakers. You can watch them in order to see that, because you're impressed with the way they pronounce their words, for example, but do not make them the ultimate goal. While you're trying to speak right, you do not have to lose your originality. You do not need to speak exactly like Ebuka or Oprah Winfrey. No, you do not. Or Amina Muhammad, like amazing speakers that you must have listened to. No, you do not need to become them. You still need to be yourself. You can watch them. Yes, it's actually helped me a lot with regard to my speaking, because immediately after my SSCE, ASU was already striking. So you can know ASU is already a thunder long before now. So ASU struck back then. We had a strike and I had to go home. I already gained admission, and the people inside the university, the returning student, were already asked to resume second semester. They had to finish the semester before the new students resumed. So I had a lot of time to spend at home. My mom just got our first ever DSTV. And we had a lot of programs on Africa, and we do the lots of subscriptions. I've forgotten the exact package now, but that package allows us access to a lot of programs. Oprah Winfrey, I watched Mo Abudu, Ebony Live TV, Zainab Balogun, Lamide, like amazing speakers, even Yoruba Magic. There's this a woman, Bajumo Shiri, Doyin Kukoyi, amazing speakers. Once they finish the presentation, I'll start mine. Like once the I'll do mine when I watch a commercial, a promotional advertisement. I watched this one by the MTN. There was this lady that worked for them back then as an ambassador. Once I finished listening to her, I will create my own art, like speak exactly, and that's really, really helped my elocution and diction journey. It's really, really helped me. But I didn't make them the goal. I didn't, oh, you won't see me now speaking like them. It's the same way I'll speak here, that it's the same way that I speak in my everyday conversations. So you can watch them in order to learn, but not in order to make them the goal. So there are differences. I hope you understand the difference. Why are you laughing? Am I lost? Is it because of the, okay. So are we still together? Are we still together? Okay, let's continue. I can see laughter. Awesome, awesome. So let's move on. Aha. So on your journey to improving your speaking skills, I won't lie to you. It's not just about pronouncing your words correctly. I know people who can pronounce their words really, really amazingly well. They can pronounce, they know correct pronunciation, but they are still not able to communicate right, because there are certain factors that are needed in order for you to communicate and have the person you're communicating with listen to the end and take the action that you want them to take. One of such things is rhetoric. Rhetoric. Improving your speaking skills also involves pronunciation and identification of individual sounds. Your correct stress placement. It's not just about being able to transcribe only. You also need to know the correct stress placement. Where should I apply my stress? What should I do here? Intonation. What am I saying? And how do I say that thing clearly in the way that the other person would understand my intent? That is intonation. Now let's talk about rhetoric. Someone mentioned, Hamida mentioned rhetoric before now, and I want to show that with this example. Rhetoric refers to the way you persuade people to take action. So it's more about, it's on the basis of the fact that the words you use influence the response you get. So if you say, I love you, the person may not love, but there's a way you say the same, I love, there's, only me, carry me, they go. So that's rhetoric. Like you have the purpose, I want to eat. There's another way you say, I want to eat, that everyone would want to give you food. So let me tell you the story of Nara Hiding. You can see the book, right? Astrological Love. She wrote a book and titled the book Astrological Love. You know, we like big words, Astrological Love, in Mamana Zing, and published the book in 1982. And she sold 5,000 copies only. You know, in this part of the world, Nigeria, for example, if you sold 1,000 copies, like that's millions of naira. For example, the book cost 5,000 naira and you sold 1,000, that's 5 million naira. You say, but in advanced countries, that's not a form of success. No, 5,000 copies. No, they want to sell. They want to become bestsellers. That's usually most of them. They're not writing out of hunger. They're not writing out of buy. They're writing out of becoming more famous. Many people buying. They want to become. You can see they like to use the tag bestsellers, especially in advanced countries. Most of them are good. They're good with what they're earning. They already have other jobs that are paying them. So writing is not like a main job for them. And so if you sell 5,000 copies, you've not sold anything. So that was the story of Nara Hayden. She sold 4,000 plus copies. She published the book in 1982. Someone came across the book, and the person works for New York Times, a big publishing firm. And the person told Nara Hayden, I would like to buy the copyright to your book, Astrological Love. And when you sell the copyright of your book, it means you don't have any authority anymore. The sales, it's just as though you're selling someone decides to sell his or her birthright. You're saying goodbye, like, you take my birthright. You're selling just as selling yourself, you don't have any authority anymore when you sell your copyright. And Nara Hayden, the book is not even selling in the first place. So this is the charge. She sold the book. She sold the copyright. The man bought the copyright. So what did the man do? The man changed the topic from astrological love to this topic. How to satisfy a woman every time and have her beg for more. And today, the book is now a bestseller by Nara Hayden. It really works. Can you see? They're already marketing on the cover of the book. How to satisfy a woman every time and have her beg for more by Nara Hayden. It really works. Like, oh, you're still doubting. Will this satisfy my woman? This one that is always complaining and nagging. But when it really works, oh, it may work. The first and only book that tells you exactly how. The first and only book that tells you exactly how. That is, this is not the everyday fluff that you must have been reading before now. Maybe after you read, it really works. You may feel, oh, I saw the same thing in one book like that. It really works. This one, then you saw the first and only book that tells you exactly how. This was the only thing the man did. He did not change the content. He did not change the order of the pages. He did not change anything with regard to the chapters of the book. And let me shock you, the book became a bestseller and sold over 2.5 million copies. What happened there? Rhetoric. The way you use words influences the response you get. Over 2.5 million copies sold when it was republished in 1998. Now, let's talk about pronunciation. When we talk about pronunciation, we're not talking about spellings. We're talking about the 44 sounds of English, 24 consonants, and 20 vowels. 24 consonants, 20 vowels. Okay? These are the things that you need to study when you want to learn correct pronunciation. There are some sounds that I actually group on my own because I feel most Nigerians will have difficulty pronouncing them correctly. Why? Not because they can't pronounce well. I do not call them complex because the sounds are in themselves complex or difficult to pronounce, but because those sounds are not in our native languages. They're not in Yoruba, they're not in Hausa, they're not in Igbo. And in the error and constructive analysis, it is established that most second language speakers of a language usually have problems with that second language based on the differences that the language have, the differences that they have in the language that are not in the features in the language that are not in their native language. So for example, if you want to learn Hausa, for instance, you're going to have issues with the structures that are not in, if you're Yoruba and you want to learn Hausa, you're going to have issues with the features that are in Hausa that are not in Yoruba. So there is a sound, for example, taki, bak, 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 bak. I told the Hausa man, just let me call it ta for now. As we go on, we're going to practice that. Why did I have difficulty pronouncing the sound? Because that sound is not in Yoruba language, my native language. It's not also in English, the language that I know. And that is comprehensive enough. It is understandable. We usually find it difficult to learn the things that we do not know before, unlike the things we already know. So this sound, for example, it is the sound you have in teeth. You have to bring forth your tongue between your upper and lower teeth before you pronounce the sound correctly. Feces, thought. The voiced counterpart of the sound is father, mother, leather. We also have this sound, the sound in measure, treasure. Pressure isn't there. This is a typo. Pressure has the sound sh, so it's measure, treasure. This is a sound in our language, but people usually find it difficult when it comes to transcription. It's the sound sting, sing, think, pink, cling, and so on. You will also need, under the sounds, you also need to study the plural and past tense markers, the pronunciation of the inflectional markers, because what you see in English, there are often mismatches between what you spell and what you're meant to pronounce. For example, there are two words here. One is called, right? While the second is worked, ed, one pronounced D, the other pronounced T, worked and called. So you need to study in detail in order to understand this better. We also have the H factor. We have a lot of factors, the R factor, the L factor. When some people want to pronounce N, they pronounce L, nylon. For example, they pronounce L. So depending on the factor that you may be battling with, but I see that most people, most non-native speakers of English have issues with the H factor. It's either they have issues with the affectation or the deaffectation. The affectation is when they pronounce the H where they ought not to pronounce it. The H sound is the glottal sound. So some people say, egg, I want to buy an egg. Hapu, hi. When they want to say I am, for example, they say I am, they pronounce the H, but the H should not be pronounced in those words. Here tell, MTN, and so on. But deaffectation is the opposite. It happens when you refuse to pronounce the H sound where you ought to pronounce it. So for example, some people say hospital, and the H is pronounced. It is hospital. They say house. Where is your house? Instead of house. Will you go to the hotel? Hotel. Heart, not art. Hi, not I. Hello, not hello. Hello, are you there? Hello, are you there? So that's the H factor. In order to sound more fluent, you should pronounce the H where you ought to pronounce it, and you should not pronounce it where you ought not to pronounce it. While it's silent, for example, is hour, not hour, but hour. The H in that word is silent. Aside from your fluency, this will also help you with regard to grammar, because you're going to use this information when you're choosing the correct article, article A or an. For example, when you pronounce hospital, you'll be tempted to say an hospital instead of a hospital because it starts with a consonant. A house, not an house. An hour, not a hour. Okay. Now let's move on. You also need to study the silent letters. These refer to letters that show in spellings but are not pronounced. So for example, this first word is pronounced rendezvous, not rendezvous. You can see the number of letters English decided to waste. Rendezvous is the spelling, but we actually pronounce rendezvous. The next word is who. You do not pronounce the W, not who are you, but who are you? This is subtle, not subtle. Receipt, not receipts. Debut album, not debut album. It's okay, then why an hour? Someone is asking an interesting question here. Because the H is silent. You do not pronounce the H in that word, hour. It is not hour, okay? You do not pronounce the H in words like hour. So you have, since the H is not pronounced, you have the vowel, an hour. This is another word, not share, an heir to the throne. You also have honorable, not honorable, honorable, but honor. The H is silent, honor. I hope that answers your question, Ma'am Sophia. Nam, good. Cynthia, thank you for that example, Nam. So whenever words end with the combination MB, like the B is usually silent. Thumb, not thumb. This is pronounced tomb, not thumb. Tomb. And so on and so forth. Is there a way to know the words with silent H? Yes, absolutely. In Hausa, is the H silent? No, in the word Hausa, the H is pronounced. When you listen to Hausa speakers, they do not say Hausa, they say Hausa. Okay, good. Thank you, Mama Sia. We have a Hausa participant. Awesome. The H is pronounced. So when you watch Hausa presentations, for example, I'm currently learning Hausa language because I get invitations, I get invites to teach and train Hausa teachers and also officials. I once got one in Zaria. I got another in Mina. So I see that I really want to connect with them on a personal level and share with them relatable examples. So due to that reason, I'm already learning Hausa. So that's the reason why I know the H is pronounced. We have the R and L factor as well. So we have different kinds of stress. We have the stress, word stress, the sentence stress, and the emphatic stress. So you need to learn all this. So as I said earlier, clear pronunciation is not just one thing. It is a lot of things brought together. Intonation, stress, correct pronunciation of sounds, saying goodbye to H factor. So clear pronunciation is just a section under public speaking and presentation mastery. For presentation mastery and public speaking, you still need to learn rhetoric. You still need to learn a lot of things. Elocution, the guides, figurative expressions, using the right words. Intonation, you have the falling tone, you have the rising tone, you have the rising and falling tone. That already tells you that we can't teach everything in this class. It's just a short class to help you gain clarity on what we're going to be doing in EPM, English Pronunciation Mastery Online course. So I already promised that I am going to share some resources with you. You may not need this. So these resources, you'll find them useful. The Sounds Right app. The Sounds Right app contains all the sounds in English, all the sounds. You click on the sound, you get the pronunciation. So you can download the app to practice the sounds. You have your dictionaries. There are lots of dictionaries, but I recommend you get Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. If you don't have any dictionary, try to get your Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. The recent edition, I think I have one here. The recent edition is 10th edition, but Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, just tell the bookseller that you want the recent edition, the latest edition. If you already have Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary and, oh, I just want to upgrade, I want to have another dictionary, then you can get the Longman Dictionary. Longman Dictionary. I would prefer that you get the books, the physical copies, the hard copies, because most of the apps do not have, you can't get the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary as a complete app, except you're going to buy the premium version of the app. If you get an app, you're going to get maybe A to D or E. If you want to get the full version, buy the text, the book itself. So it's cost around 6,000 to 7,000. If you want to buy the premium version of that, it's around, when you convert the dollar exchange rates, you pay like 13 to 15,000 naira. But for the book itself, just go to any bookstore. They always have Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. It's a popular dictionary. You can also get, if you already have Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, you want to have one more, you get Longman Dictionary. If you already have Longman and, oh, I still want to add one, then you get this dictionary. It is the Cambridge Pronouncing Dictionary. When you search for any word, you won't have access to the meanings. You only have access to the pronunciation variants. So if you search for this word, for example, type, you won't find kind, or it is a kind of something, or the figures of speech. No, they cut out all those pieces of information and they're only giving you this type, how to pronounce the word. So when you are arguing, they also have variants. That's the advantage. When you feel, is this the correct pronunciation or not? Sometimes both of you may be correct. Both of you may be arguing that this word is the correct, this is not correct. Both pronunciations may be right. So you can have direct and also direct. One word may have up to 3 to 4 pronunciations sometimes. So the Cambridge Pronouncing Dictionary will help you clarify. You can also download the phonetic keyboard if you want to practice. If you have someone that you want to practice with, or you want to type transcriptions, instead of you to have your A, B, C, D, you're going to have the sounds for transcription, the sounds as your keyboard, okay? So these are the things you need to do in order to improve your speaking skills. Once again, you need to change your mindset. You need to understand the learning process. You do not start learning correct pronunciation today or improving your speaking skills today and expect sudden change tomorrow. It is a process. The learning process, it's a learning process. You have to go through the process. It's just as though you want to climb a ladder. You don't just find yourself there all of a sudden. You may fall. If you want to jump to the upper stage all of a sudden, you need to climb 2, 3, 4, 5 till you get there. You also need a coach and a tutor that teaches you. It doesn't necessarily have to be Abdul Baki Hassan, because if you want me to teach you on a private basis, you have to pay, because my time and my resources, I have to share my expertise with you as well. So, but you need a person that will teach you. It is not, for example, I learned a lot of things from YouTube as well, and I know them really, really well. How to design landing pages, how to create certain kinds of content. If I wonder why this thing is happening, I may not call an expert. I may just search. I watched a movie and they have twin sisters. They're 8 years old. So I was wondering, and just one person acted both. One spoke American English, the other spoke British English. Really, really brilliant. It was seamless, as though they're two different people. So I searched online, what went behind the scenes of that movie. I watched everything. Like I watched 3 to 4 other documentaries, how such videos are made. And I gained clarity. Like I can also make such a video with my mobile phone. So that is for other kinds of knowledge, like skills that you just need to plug and play. But for speaking, you need to have someone who will help certify that you're doing the correct thing. Are you actually pronouncing it correctly? But when you practice on your own, you may not, because you do not have the mastery, you do not have the expertise, you may find it difficult. As you learn from the coach, as you practice, as you learn from the coach, as you learn from other sources, you've got your dictionary, you also need to practice. You also need to practice. It is by practicing frequently that you get results. But if you're not practicing, you're just the same thing as another person who didn't learn. Okay? Last but not, then we have listening to native and eloquent speakers, BBC, CNN, channels, because those presenters, those broadcasters, they are trained regularly to speak well. They are paid to speak well. Before they get to that position, they went through auditions, series of tests before they go, oh, let's employ you. And when I say TVC TEDx, I'm not talking about the roundtable breakfast show. I'm not talking about the talk shows. Sometimes they like to invite people from different, for example, there is this show, Your View. on TVC, they have women from different backgrounds, those that can speak well, those that they just want there to be a rich discussion. That's the goal. But for broadcasting, they want people who can actually pronounce their words correctly. Broadcasting, presenting, you need to watch those people at TEDx. If you don't have a BBC, CNN, TEDx is a platform where people are invited, like amazing people, amazing speakers are invited to talk about a particular idea that they feel can change the world. So while you're getting exposure, while you're getting more educated, you're also learning elocution, diction, presentation mastery from the speakers. Now let's be already rounding off the class. How do I know that I have pronounced the words or sounds correctly? So I have the EPM course. I have been talking about it even when we started the EPM taster. The EPM course will help you know that you have pronounced the words and sounds correctly, because I am bringing in 3 other people aside from me. So even if I don't have time, they will be there. They're expert. They're really, really good at correct pronunciation and clear diction. We have 2 tutors, 4 people are joining me. We have 2 accountability partners. The partners will be coming to your inbox to ask you, how is it going? Do you have difficulty with anything? Would you like me to help you with anything? And then we have 2 tutors that you can practice with. They will serve as your accountability partner, and you can practice with them as well. EPM will also help you ease your learning by combining studying with getting constant feedback. So you're not just learning as you learn, you're also getting feedback. You also get the correct source of information from EPM whenever you're confused, because when you go to Google, some will say 55 sound, another may say 43 sound. Someone who hasn't gone through the process may decide to just open a YouTube channel. It's a free word, so you may get any sort of information, both correct and incorrect. But EPM, English Pronunciation Mastery Online course, will bring forth for you the correct source of information. EPM will also help you master diction, phonetics, elocution, and transcription within a short period, just 2 months, 60 days, right? This is EPM, English Pronunciation Mastery. You learn elocution and the right diction, clear pronunciation and perfect transcription. You learn the correct pronunciation of over 5,000 commonly mispronounced words. You know, it is not bestos, it is as, both in spelling, the spelling and the pronunciation. Asbestos, camera, I see, and lots more. We have accent reduction and fluent communication, confidence mastery, public speaking and presentation. And it is 20,500 Naira only if you pay on or before June 19. After June 19, you have to pay 25,500. So here is the end of the lesson. If you have questions, kindly ask your questions. We've spent almost 10:30. Ask your question. It may be with regard to EPM. It is not compulsory for you to take my course. I just want to come here and help you gain clarity concerning how you can become an eloquent speaker. Did you get value? Let me know in the chat box if you got value. How did you see the class? What do you think? Has this class given you the right guides? What to do, what not to do? Well done, tutor. Mama Masimi, you're welcome. Could you help? Someone asked a question here. Could you help with, someone asked a question. Could you help? I can't see the question. You may have to resend the question. Could you help with the ways to know the silent H words without studying all words with? Yes, in my EPM, English Pronunciation Mastery Online course, there is a separate module for silent letters. So in that module, I took letter A, the silent letter, the words in which A is silent. Letter B, for example, I gave you codes. You don't have to start learning from the beginning of your dictionary. For example, I gave you code like when you have MB at the end of a particular word, B is usually silent. So you have climb, not climbed. You have plumb, not plumb. You have tomb, not tomb. You have thumb, not thumb. So whenever you have words that end with NB, the B is usually comb. You have the B is usually silent. I gave you that of H, letter C, where is C silent? Where is the, from A to Z, like 1 week will be dedicated solely to studying silent letters in English. And once you finish that module, you will be able to know, oh, when you see that word, you know that word, that letter is silent therein. So mind your speech, you need to take EPM if you want the result. All right, so let me talk about, okay, what more? All right, okay, so the account details for those who are interested in paying right away. We've got amazing reviews. This is from a lecturer in the Department of Linguistics, Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko. So this from the lecturer, Mr. Ibikunle Samuel. Now he is a doctor, a PhD. All language teachers, students, English examination candidates, public speakers, lovers of language, and aspiring media personalities should sign up for the upcoming course in clear pronunciation and perfect transcription organized by Flying Colors. I highly recommend the course. As a phonetics phonology lecturer, he went through and saw, oh, this is amazing. With over 10 years teaching experience, due to the exceptional value the course comes with. Apart from the fact that participants will be learning in the comfort of their homes, the carefully chosen topics, teaching aids, like there's some things that we had to create from the scratch in order to help you get value. There's some pictures that we had to go get, we didn't get them online. Get them to tell you what should touch what, which speech organ should connect with the other speech organ in order for you to be able to pronounce this word correctly, so that you can see everything, because it is not all sound that I can tell you with my physical self. For example, the sound ka, ka. When you pronounce the sound ka, the last part of your tongue touches your velum, and you can't see all those. So we had to get teaching aids in order for you to understand better, and personalized monitoring of each learner's growth are other impressive features. This is from Bawa Jamiu. He took the course in 2019, and this is what he had to say. I never understood the concept of oral English till the day I started the diction course. This is from a lot of people. We have got over 100+ people who took the course. We have Khalid, Adiola Olariwaju. My speaking skill was massively improved during the diction course. I have always felt more confident while speaking in public and private, even while speaking with people who fake their accents. The course has improved my confidence in taking the English proficiency exams. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So if you really want to improve your speaking skills, jump on this. You don't want to miss EPM 2023, because we never can tell, we may not have time to do it next year. We have more premium courses next year. For example, we have a course for people who are trying to come from offline to online. We'll be going to their stores to put them through video content creation and other things. We have our online kiddie school. We have to launch, we have to relaunch 3 times every year. Our online adult school has to follow as well. So you may not have this opportunity from us anymore. And if you're going to be buying the course as a private student, not a general course, our private sessions start from 50,000 Naira only as well. So if you want to pay half now, or you pay complete 50,000 later, there is no problem. My decision to take part in the diction course has left an indelible mark in my path to self-development. Amazing reviews, and that's what even gives me the assurance that when anyone comes in, because these are people from different walks of life and they got value. So when anyone comes in and they are attentive, they will get value when they take this course. EPM will always remain a gem in my life. This is from a teacher, an English teacher who also manages a peanut burger firm. Ma'am Danisi Rahmat, it's always it's already good. Another from Abu Mama, a school owner and also an Arabic tutor. The most interesting thing that happens to me in 2019 is this crash course by Flying Colors. You know, from January to December, the most interesting thing that happened to him is this course. And interestingly, people who took this course continue to take it again and again. For example, Abu Mama took the course in 2019 and also took the course again in 2021. Just to tell you the value, they want to relive the experience. He perfectly demonstrated what it takes to get it done in no time. The class was very, very nice. This is from a linguist, Omawumi. The class was very, very nice and worth the time and amount. I got to learn the pronunciation and usage of words. From Naima Olawumi, a grammarian, she studied English, and registering for the course, still one of the best decisions she made in 2019. Now imagine the improvements that must have happened this 2023. The course in general was not just eye-opening, it was a deep one into so many things I never knew. I have learned a lot. Thank you very much for making my leave a period for beneficial knowledge. It was at the time she just gave birth to her baby. She joined the course and she found it interesting. So these, the account details, once again, if you would like to join in, and I assure you that you are going to get mind-blowing results. Thanks, I am in already. All right, welcome to class. Inshallah Wasilat, is this class meant for public speaking only? Ma'am, Inshallah Wasilat, you're already in my online adult school. You don't have to pay for anything. You're going to get access to EPM. I announced that already. It seems you missed it. So if you're in my online adult school, do not pay for EPM. Let me check your details. If your subscription will cover July and August, you don't need to pay for this, please. It is for you. It is free for you. You're going to get it alongside your online adult school. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you're going to join us EPM. This is the final of the EPM taster, and I can't wait to have all of you and help you improve. My name is Abdul Baki Hassan, the lead tutor at Flying Colors Communications Academy and the course creator of EPM, English Pronunciation Mastery Online course. Success at your fingertips.